Yeah, what's happening? We about to bring that action. Gotta hold it down for my Seattle Kraken. Hey, we going beneath the waves. We going beneath the waves. Get it hype, step onto the ice. Ready for some action. Release the Kraken. Hey, we going beneath the waves. Going beneath the waves.
What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Beneath the Waves podcast, your weekly source of all things Seattle Kraken and beyond. I am Matt,
I'm Heather.
I'm Derek. And I'm Alex.
and we are now on episode 14 of the BTW pod. We'd like to welcome in all of our friends, old and new. Huge thank you to everyone who has joined us so far, has dropped a follow, has left a review on the podcast app of your choice. And if you haven't done so yet, just scroll on down in that window you're listening in right now, click the 5-star button, and it'll just make our day. It'll give us the biggest smiles and to help us along on this journey here. We got a loaded show for you today, as always, starting off with Kraken news. We'll go into some game recaps, check in with Coachella Valley, and have a discussion around the sound table. Heather, do you want to let us know what news we're looking at for this week?
I do, because we actually have some positive things this week, which is exciting. But I will say a lot of this comes from Ron Francis's mid-season update he had on one of the broadcasts. And so I'm going to start with injury updates because he talked about both Jordan Eberle and Yanni Gourde. He did say that Eberle is off crutches and he should hit the ice in a week or two. He said the return is quote unquote more towards the end of February, but he was walking into the arena today with his family. So I was really happy to see that. That's a big, huge step forward in his progress. So I'm so happy for Ebbs because I actually really thought he wouldn't be back at all this season just because of the crazy nature of his injury. So happy for that. Gourde has no time frame for a return, but quote, at least a couple weeks, depending on what we find, end quote. So not entirely sure what's going on there still, but sounds like it's going to be a bit. And honestly, Yanni Gourde's sorely missed as our little pepper pot. So hopefully he is back soon. Also, during Ron's midseason update, he talked about Todd Leiweke visiting the team in Buffalo on the road trip, which we all sort of took pause at because it's kind of an odd thing that he did, but Ron said that it was his birthday on the weekend, and I think he just wanted to go to some hockey games. Apparently, Leiweke's schedule freed up after the meetings in LA were canceled due to the fires. The other rumor that had been circulating was that Ron Francis had wanted to hire Todd McClellan over Dan Bialsma, but was overruled by ownership. And Ron addressed that too by saying, "I'm the GM. I hired Dan. He's my coach." Honestly, I think this little midseason update was a little bit of damage control that maybe wasn't super well received because it all sounded a little bit performative, but we'll take whatever we can get, and we're happy for the injury updates. Last little piece of news is that just in the roster moves, Gustav Olofsson was reassigned to Coachella Valley. I think probably because the Kraken are at home for such a big stretch of time, so they're not worried about having that extra defenseman. But that's about it for news. So a little bit of positivity there, at least with Eberle.
Yeah, for sure. And in the belt awarding video from today's game, he was sitting in the locker stall next to Schwartzy, so it's always good to get him back in there and see him back in that locker room. Before we did this, I listened back to last week's podcast. I always listen to at least a couple minutes to kind of get a gauge for how the vibes were the week previous. And our vibe check was not so hot, but we're having a bit of a better week. So I'm curious how we are all feeling in this week's vibe check.
So my vibe check this week is actually positive. I know, shock. Cue the shocking sounds because gasp. Honestly, when you win 4 of your 6 games, the mood shifts. I was calling for Ron Francis's head and saying this team sucked and you name it. But overall, I'm not saying it's a turning point. I'm not saying the Kraken are going to make the playoffs. There is a chance. But this is the type of hockey, that you want to see the Kraken play. Like they're actually giving a damn. You're seeing a lot of players that are actually trying to play for their spots because there are players that are getting scratched in the lineup that could easily play, but you have hungry players that are winning their spots, and so there's a lot of positivity in it. One of the guys I just really want to bring up to mention is Capo Caco because he has brought something to this team that we haven't seen, I don't think, ever. And the line combo between him, Matty, and Schwartz is just such a breath of fresh air. It's really a number one line, what we're witnessing. And it's something that you can see that you can be excited for, especially when you know that Matty and him can the Maddie and Capo can really develop that chemistry over the next years because they're so young. Schwartz, he's really there as a veteran guidance, and he's just also been benefiting from that. So overall, vibe check is solid this week, and just Joey Decort's just being Joey.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with what Alex said. When you look at the games that we're going to be recapping this week, the Kraken won 3 out of 4 of them. The one that they dropped was to Winnipeg, and by 1 goal. Winnipeg's like second in projected points on Money Puck. So just really insane week for the Kraken. Definitely trending up. And yeah, if you scroll through our notes here for the podcast, the three names, Schwartz, Kako, and Beniers, they just pop up everywhere. It is insane right now what is going on. Very exciting team to watch. The last 2 games especially, it's really just felt like, during those like that playoff season that we had, it's really felt like that. I've been so invested, which I hadn't been in the weeks past, but something right now is clicking with the team, and yeah, it's creating very entertaining hockey for sure. I just wanted to highlight something. When we first traded for Capo Caco, obviously everyone was sad to see Borgen go. I was too because I was a fan of him. No problems there. But I did see this tweet from Jay Fresh, who makes those like scorecards or whatever that you guys have probably seen on Twitter. And he was talking about Kako when we first got him. And he said that he's a young defense first winger, and that a lack of creativity and playmaking skill has stuck him as a puck retrieving third wheel and limited his upside. That lack of creativity comment, I feel like he's had so much creativity as of late. Something that really jumps out to me is and we'll talk about it later, but in the Kings game, when Schwartz got his hat trick goal, that saucer pass like over 2 people, it's just like who in their right mind is like thinking that pass and executing that pass at that level? Kako is just finding something here in Seattle. I've seen a lot of Rangers fans on Twitter saying that they saw the same things from Kako, and Rangers management and ownership really fumbled the bag here. I'm inclined to agree with that. Um, yeah. Other than that, could see a potential 2% playoff odds here coming up. We are 6 points back from the next wild card spot. I promised myself that I had to say that this pod, so there's that. And then yeah, Schwartz, Kako, Wright, Beniers, really with their on ice expected goals for and against like differential, really just stand out with among the rest of the team. So that's all I really have to say.
I mean, hockey's been really fun to watch. I feel like I'm a big fan of momentum in teams, and we kind of have like the big MO right now. So I'm really excited for that because they're really utilizing that and capitalizing that on that. It's been fun to watch. I'm sorry, Pearl is growling. I'm gonna wait just a second before I finish because she's literally like so mad about something. Hang on. She like growls, but she's got this high pitched growl that's terrible.
This has to stay in.
But these games have been such a roller coaster because they've been super strange at times, but also it's just really fun to watch them. And also, like the give a ish meter is really high, which I appreciate because one of my big complaints has been that they just didn't seem to care sort of as of late. And these last games, it shows that they care. They're actually playing for each other and fighting for one another and fighting to get a point at least, or coming really close to, at least winning or getting close to that. And I appreciate that because I just don't want the team to not care. That's what I don't want. I don't care if they go out and lose, but they gave it their all. And I feel like that's what we're seeing now is they're at least giving more than they were. And I appreciate that about them. So I don't know. I feel good about their effort. And that to me means everything. So that's where I am with vibes. I don't know. Whatever happens in the season happens, but at least for now we're watching some entertaining hockey, and I like that. So that's where I am.
So I know Derek usually saves the plugs for the end of the show, but I have a BTW SEA abbreviation if I can try my hand. It's not a 10-page poem like the last time I did the plugs. Can I give it a try, Derek? Do I have your blessings on gimmick infringement?
Yeah, I gotta warn you though, it's not for everyone, so proceed with caution.
All right, you can give me like the thumbs up, thumbs down from Gladiator. BTW SEA. Bro, they're winning? Seattle? Everything's awesome. That's how I feel right now. It feels really good to be a Kraken fan right now, having just even the littlest bit of sunshine in all the darkness that we've been trudging our way through recently. I think that this last week is one of the most fun weeks of hockey watching that we've had in recent memory, even with that super gut punch heartbreaker game against Winnipeg where we lost in the final seconds. But hopefully we can keep this going, even though we were all talking the other day about how it would be pretty good to tank out and get that first overall pick and continue bolstering things and building up for the future. But I do have one question in my vibe check though, and that is where in the world did Jared McCann and Brandon Montour go? Because I feel at the start of the season they were super hot, busting out of the gates, getting goals, getting assists, getting big plays. And I feel that Canner, and this holds up today. I wrote these notes a couple days ago, but this holds up today after today's game. I feel like Canner is only scoring empty net goals, which he did today. And I don't know, like Monty's just been super quiet. He hasn't been getting a whole bunch of assists. He cost us a goal the other day in the game when he knocked what's his nut into Joey and a puck went in past him. And I'm a little sad that those guys haven't been uh, performing as they did at the start of the season.
Derek was right, though. It's not for everyone.
Wow.
Wow. I thought it was great. You have my
I'm just kidding.
blessing.
It was a really
Cool.
good
I'm gonna
job.
just exit out. Have fun editing this. You're on your own.
To
Just
to go off of what Matt said just now, yeah, I definitely think it speaks to like the roller coaster up and down of a season for players, especially Montour. Like the numbers he was posting at the beginning of the season, like he was on pace to just shatter his like career highs in stats. So it makes sense for him to sort of cool off a little bit. It would be nice to see him start back up again though, because that is kind of really what we got him for. And these should be the prime years of the contract that we have. So it is a little concerning. It's not like he's some young developmental guy that, we haven't seen pop off yet. He should be producing in his prime. Same with McCann. Obviously, we know what McCann can do. But I was gonna say until you said that about empty net goals, he did get an empty net goal today, so maybe he's back.
I honestly think Jared McCann's been nursing an injury this entire season. It could be minimal, like maybe a wrist injury, or even like an oblique, or I don't know, like a lower body. So like somewhere in the hand department for all you Canadian folks. It just something seems off because there was talk and there's been discussions on other podcasts and whatnot that maybe it's because of who he's been playing with Chandler Stevenson. But Stevenson's producing, and that's saying something. And yes, McCann is still the Kraken top points player at the current moment, but he's just been, producing at a slower pace. So I feel like there's some type of, niggle that he's been dealing with that, just hasn't been addressed and hasn't been publicly provided to outside sources. So that's what I kind of think that's going on, because he's still getting shots on net. It's just maybe they're just not high quality, and like I said, he's just dealing with something.
All right, and with that, as we mentioned, it was a very good week in the Seattle Kraken universe. Starting off with our game against Pittsburgh. Heather, why don't you take us through that one?
All right, so this was game 45 at the Pittsburgh Penguins, and it ended up being a 4-2 win, which was a super exciting day for us because it was a stream night also. So our stream record is actually 8-1-2, which is amazing, and we're pretty proud of that. But we appreciate you always coming by and hanging out and chatting. It's so much more fun when you are here, because otherwise you leave me with these three and just kidding. But it is more fun when you're here and hanging out with us. You also got to witness my incredible artwork with the American Zoom backgrounds for our two Canadians. I mean, hang those in the Louvre. They're amazing. But most importantly, the Kraken did pretty much the bare minimum to help raise money for the Regina Humane Society. But with help from us and our generous watchers, there was actually $150 donated in memory of Matt's kitty. So I'm calling that a total win. So thank you all for that and participating in that. This was a really odd game. Like the first 45 minutes of the game were pretty lopsided to the Penguins. It was kind of boring, at least on the Kraken side. And then those last like 15-ish minutes really picked up. So it was sort of an odd thing. But look, I want to tell you some of like the interesting and like strange parts of this one, then I'll recap scoring, because it was just like too many things as I was like typing them out. But like first, the Kraken ended the first period with only 2 shots on goal, and one of those ended up being a goal, which is, to me, some serious AHL type stuff, which I kind of love because it's so wild when that happens. So I don't know, I find that amazing. Joey Decord got his first NHL point with an assist on that goal in the first, so also very exciting. And by the way, that just means he's that much closer to the goalie goal, which is my bold prediction. It's going to happen this season, I swear. In the second, the clock didn't start again after the last stoppage. So the arena and the broadcast clocks were off by about 38 seconds. So the horn sounded, but none of the players knew the period was over. But Jessica Campbell is the one who noticed the clock wasn't running properly and she was tracking it. So actually, when that happened, I thought something terrible was going on. Like there was a threat to the building or something because it was like people were leaving, but we're like, why are they leaving? There's still 38 seconds. So super odd situation. And then finally, in the odd category, the Kraken had 18 shots on goal for the entire game, which is only one more than their lowest ever team record. So just a really strange, odd game. And the fact that we came out of that with a win just makes it even stranger. But let me get to scoring. So Chandler Stevenson actually opened scoring. He scored his 6th goal of the season. It was on a shorthanded goal, and that's the Kraken's first shorthanded goal of the season, which blew my mind. It actually started with Joey, who got the puck to Jared McCann, who passed it over to Stevie, and he wristed it, and goalie just absolutely flubbed it. So really great goal, really great attempt. Loved seeing Joey kick that one off. After that goal, I really felt like it was downhill for the Kraken until those final like 15 minutes because the Penguins tied it up with a goal by Tomasino, and then it was basically because Dunn didn't get back to his position in front of the net. And then Joey lost track of the rebound. The Penguins had 16 shots to the Kraken's 2 in that first period. And they also had double the ozone time as the Kraken. So Joey is really 100% the reason the game went into the first intermission tied because it could have really gone off the rails really fast. And this is kind of a theme here. Joey is really keeping us in these games. There was only one goal in the second. It belonged to the Penguins on a delayed penalty. Carlson had what I really don't like to admit, but I have to admit, it was an incredible pass to get the puck to Rust, and Rust was left alone. Joey really tried to get over in time, but it was kind of impossible, and the Penguins took a 2-1 lead. And then halfway through the game, the Kraken only had 5 shots on goal. And I think that was about the time when we were sitting here on stream looking up the record to see what the lowest shots on goal total were, that the team had, like the lowest one, and it was 17. So that was our focus. Like, are they going to beat that? Will they get double digits by the end of the second? Like, it became a thing. But the end of the second was when that clock issue happened. So that was like weird. And we all kind of sat here like wondering what was going on. And I found out Shane Wright told them that Jessica Campbell was keeping track of it and knew that. Then we were into the third and things got stranger because it was Jamie Alexiak who tied the game 2-2 at 8:04 in the second. But I'm just kidding. We love Big Rig. He literally had just come off the bench and deftly skated through the Penguins defense to beat Jari. And 50 seconds later, 5-0, Ellie Tolvanen gave the Kraken a 3-2 lead. Started with a great pass by Mahura to get it to Shane Wright. And then Shane smoothly dangled the puck around the Penguins player and passed it to Tolby, who was net front, and got the puck just above Jari's right shoulder. Please give Shane Wright more minutes because that was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Seriously, give Shane Wright more minutes. At 18:57, Capo Caco got an empty netter to seal the victory for the Kraken with a final score of 4-2. So with only 18 shots on goal, the Kraken somehow won this game. And by somehow, I mean Joey stole this game for them. And sort of funny, but not funny, is that Tristan Jarry was put on waivers the very next afternoon. So I don't know if it's just the Kraken or just a thing. But anyway, kind of an interesting thing to note. But before this, we'd had some really embarrassing losses, so they needed this win really badly. And the fact that we were on stream to see it and experience all the strangeness of it and the win and the highs and the lows, I'm really glad that this was a stream game, and also just glad that we pulled the win out for this one.
This was all about goaltending, this game. Joey Decord is Joey Decord. Realistically, the only reason that we were even in this game was because he stood on his head. But that just seems to be the story of the season. I was extremely worried about this game, and I think all four of us were when we were recording, and we just were at the point where we were cheering for when we actually got a shot on goal. And that's saying something. The fact that our record while we stream is so impressive says one thing. So, maybe the Kraken should, we're not streaming every game. Like, I refuse to do that. I value my sanity, but we're just a good luck charm. But the fact of the matter is that Joey Decord saved us for this game, and we absolutely ruined Yari's NHL career as he got sent down to the AHL. So kind of a yin and yang type situation. But overall, bad game, great win.
Yeah, Alex. Not only were we celebrating each shot, we were trying to figure out who got each shot. Oh, I think that was Mahura. Oh yeah, I think that one was McCann. Oh, let's go. We got a shot. Because we were trying to raise the money for Matt, for the Regina Humane Society, and it was $1 per shot on goal, and then at the beginning of the third, we had to elevate it to $2 per shot on goal. So we were really just cheering for every shot at that point. Crazy that the Kraken decided to almost tie their lowest shot record in a game where shots on goal was so crucial to a donation to help a humane society. Yes, this game was crazy. I remember after the first period, I think it was like 95% on the deserve to win meter. After the second period, it was something similar. Really, this is just one of those games where it was completely awful. We were dogging out the whole time until like the last 10 minutes. And like everyone has said, Joey Decord, the expected goals were like, yeah, it was 4 to like 1.5 until the empty net, which then raised our expected goals to 2.5. But yeah, 4 to 1.5. And Joey only led in two. So really just a great game by Decord. And Kako getting the empty netter. It's just so awesome to see. And we're gonna keep talking about this, but it's so awesome to see Kako get on the score sheet every single time because when you trade for a guy like that, there's a lot of hesitancy, and it's like a lot of people are like, "Oh, this isn't going to fix anything. That this guy isn't just going to be like everybody else." But it really does seem like he's making a difference, like right off the bat, which is just crazy, considering that we we really didn't have to give up much to get him.
So, so my description for this game was it was an absolute snooze fest right up until it wasn't. In previous streaming lives, this might have been one of the games where halfway through we started like power ranking the best McDonald's cheeseburgers or something like that, just because we needed something to talk about because it was so absolutely boring. But once things started turning around, it was pretty exciting to get into. Gotta love Stevie putting up the shorthanded goal as the pro Stevie pod. We love to see that. Alexiak can apparently shoot outside of the Super Skills Showcase, which we love to see, and we'll hear about more later as well. We love a point for Josh Mahura because we just finished talking last week about how we like that he's starting to get more playtime and really starting to seem comfortable. And then Kako sealing the deal and furthering his Kraken resume was really fantastic as well. And each of them has talked about it. We were fundraising in this game as well. And holy moly, did that look bleak at the start of the game when I was like, okay, we're going to manifest some good things here. We're going to put $1 a shot. Hope that we get like 35 shots out of this game, maybe. That's a decent amount. That'll buy a bag of cat food or dog food, something like that. And then we have 2 shots after 20 minutes. It's like, my God, this is going to be awful. I'm going to walk in there and be able to pay with the change in my cup holder in my car. But then we upped it to $2 for the last period. And luckily, we started getting at least a few more shots in there and it bumps it up. And we got to give a shout out to as well. There's a couple BTW community members as well that chipped in cash money donations to the cause too. So big thanks to the three of you for matching what I did and to those folks as well. And yeah, just to everyone that joined us. That was a very fun last 20 minutes of the 2 hours and 40 minutes that we were on stream. I mean, the whole thing was fun, like with you guys. It's awesome to hang out once a week and all that.
Aw.
But that game was absolutely garbage up until then, and I think we can all agree on that. For
Matt,
what?
just one more quick thing. I think
I
we
got you.
also need to shout out Mike for the predict. Didn't he predict
Oh,
Kako getting a goal?
yes.
So it elevated the.
Yes. So one of the things in our donations was I gave everyone an anytime goal scorer guess. And since a friend of the pod, Mike, aka Sasquatch NHL, always does his first goal scorer picks every week, I said, "Hey, Sasquatch, you get a pick for this game. Anytime goal scorer, who do you want?" And he picked Kako, and Kako scored. So, honorary $10 donation from Sasquatch on that one. So, big shout out. Good catch, Derek. Totally forgot about that one. And now we will roll into game 46 at the Winnipeg Jets. This was a 2-1 loss. And I think the best way to describe this one is just a heartbreaker. Just like knife in the gut, does not feel good. But the game up to it was a pretty good one. In contrast to the recent performances, the Seattle Kraken actually came out pretty strong for this game, taking the shot on goal category in the first period 11-8, so just completely different than the last game. They almost had as many shots in the first period as they did in the entire last game, which is absolutely wild, but yet somehow still on brand for the Kraken. At 8:12 of the first, Matty Beniers opened the scoring. It was an amazing passing sequence from the standout line of Beniers, Kako, and Schwartz. Jaden Schwartz raised the puck for an amazing distance pass to a streaking Capo Kako to the left of Connor Helbuck. Kako then quickly got the pass back across the ice to Matty Beniers' net front, who got it past the Winnipeg goaltender. And we've said this a couple times recently, but I got to keep these things logged. I think that this is a potential contender for best goal Squiddy award down the line because the sequence of passes that led up to it was just absolutely crazy. One of the storylines of this game was that the Krakens would have to play a clean, disciplined game as the Winnipeg Jets had the league leading power play percentage of 32.6. Sure enough, this bit them in this game. After Jamie Alexiak took an interference penalty in the second period, Winnipeg's Mark Scheifele recorded his 27th goal of the season on the power play. There was a steep drop off in shots in the second period, with Seattle only recording 5 shots on goal compared to Winnipeg's 19. So total turning of the tables there. It was all tied up going into the third period when the Jets continued their offensive attack. An interesting stat for me that was shared on the TSN broadcast, because we did not have the Kraken Hockey Network up here for this one, was that Seattle's third period goal differential was plus 16 and Winnipeg's is plus 20. So these were two very good late game teams. The Jets again outshot the Kraken 9-3, and Joey put in a stellar performance as he's been doing night in and night out with this team. Just when it looked like we were closing in on another overtime game against the Jets this season, Vince Dunn's clearing attempt from the Kraken zone took a really weird bounce off of the glass. It just took a 90-degree turn instead of wrapping around the glass. Not sure what it caught, but it landed right in the feet of one of the Jets players. After a couple quick passes, Dylan DeMello ripped a shot over Joey's left shoulder through a series of screens, securing the game in his 600th NHL game, so a cool milestone for him there. And this was a great effort by the Kraken, as there didn't seem to be any of their patented giving up. Even in the last 27 seconds, they were aggressively trying to tie things up, rushing the net as quickly as they could. So overall, I am not mad at this game. I'm just disappointed with how it turned out in the dying seconds.
I'm going to chime in just real quickly because I wasn't able to watch this one, but definitely, obviously, checked out recaps and videos and stuff. But what a heartbreaker to like have a bad bounce lead to the game winner with 27 seconds left. Like that's devastating. But I will say I did like hearing that they kept battling back. That's a big complaint from me recently, like I've said. So that makes me really happy. Joey stopping 34 shots, also incredible. So overall, like I can't really be super mad about this one either. I just think, sometimes I feel like it all comes back karmically, and I think we've had some of those lucky bounces ourselves recently. So I think, that's one we just have to write off as good effort. Heartbreaking loss, but good effort.
This was definitely one of those games where you feel bad for the entire team because they deserved the point. They were so close. They competed with one of the best teams in the NHL. So the fact that they lost it in the last minute was just pure heartbreak. But at the same time, it is so typical Kraken fashion because it's either, the Kraken are either going to, give up a goal within the first minute of scoring, or just after scoring a goal, they're going to give up a goal, or they're going to give up a goal in the last minute. So in its own way, it's typical Kraken fashion, but at the same time, it's absolute heartbreak. Yeah, it was a good competitive game, but yet again, another highlight of the game is Joey Decord because without Joey, we're not even in this. So seems to be a pattern running about, but just devastating loss. But you can't really do much about it at the end of the day.
Yeah, Alex, you raise a good point. I honestly wonder, I think we'd get a lot more Filson gear if we could sort of include the other team scoring in the final minute as well, in the Filson final minute. That would be pretty cool. We should start sending emails about that. So you guys should too if you're listening. Joey Decord show again. I remember being pretty upset about this one. Just like you can't allow like 40 shots on Decord and only expect one to go in. It was crazy. I was watching it with my dad and they dumped it in and he's like, "Oh, I don't know if we'll be able to hold on for the last 20 seconds." I'm like, you always feel like that, but it'll be fine. Like it'll be good. We're chilling. They'll rim it out or something. They'll be good." And I'm like, "What did actually happen?" No. So I was pretty upset, but then going on Twitter and looking at other people's reactions and stuff, kind of centered me around understanding that, like it was a really hard fought battle, like we're all talking about. We got the clean loss with no points, so it raises our odds for the first overall pick. That's kind of how I was feeling. So it kind of felt like a win-win-win loss, if that makes sense. Okay, but I am gonna go now into game 47 versus the Kings. This game, I think it could be game of the year, to be honest. Game of the last 2 years, maybe. But it was insane. So going into this game, just for some context, the LA Kings had allowed one goal against or fewer in the last 5 games that Darcy Kemper had played. He was red hot, just like Hellebuck. And so this is the best defensive and goaltending team in the NHL. They're first in every single category, such as like shot attempts against, blocks, any defensive category they were first in. They showed it. It was like 10 number ones. Um, I'm texting people. I'm thinking I'm probably going to fall asleep during this game. I wrote it down in my notes that I'm probably going to fall asleep. And then 35 seconds into the game, this line of Schwartz, Kako, and Beniers just makes some magic. Capo Kako sends it over to Schwartz, who one times it off of the post and in. Just absolutely beautiful against, like I said, just an amazing stellar goalie. Just sneaking it in 35 seconds into the game. Just crazy. The number one defensive team in the league and the Kraken open up scoring. Like, are you kidding me? I was expecting to get shut out. I was texting people saying we're going to get shut out. Then Matty Beniers took a high sticking penalty. It's one of those thanks Matty moments where you're like expecting a goal against thanks Matty. And that's exactly what happened. We allowed a tic tac goal in the back door, and it was a thanks Matty moment, unfortunately. Josh Mahura, he has been credited by the team recently and today for getting the belt with his big hits and blocks lately. He had a huge hit on the puck carrier. And then it transitioned going the other way. The guy was trying to fight him, and Mahura brilliantly saw that there was a rush going the other way and didn't. So hats off to Mahura for not fighting that guy. Um, Beautiful one-time goal from Beniers and Kako for Schwartz to get his second goal of the game. Um, then, as Matt mentioned earlier, Montour then shoved a player into Joey, causing him to interfere with him, and that was the second goal against. So then it was 2-2 at the end of the first. So at this point, there was 12 points in 14 games for Kako, but I believe now that there was 13 points in 14 games at this point, and 13 points for Schwartz. If the rest of the Kraken could be doing anything alongside these like very hot players on this line, we'd like not lose against any team. It's just unreal. It's definitely one of those moments where you're like, oh, if we had Jordan Eberle too, and he could like heat up right now, like you'd have so many guys contributing. Then there was a Stevenson deflection from a Bjorkstrand shot that he like just brilliantly tipped in. But he's not a top 550 player, so it doesn't matter. 3-2 Kraken at this point, 2 minutes into the second period. The shots at this point, 10 minutes into the second, were 20-10 Kraken. I want everyone to remember that. 20-10 Kraken, 10 minutes into the second. Then we had a really good penalty kill that I wrote down about. But okay, my next update in my notes here was that the shots were 21-20 Kraken, 8 minutes into the third. They ended the second period with 21 shots, by the way. So that was 0 shots for the Kraken at that point. My next note, shots are 21-29 LA, 16 minutes into the third. So the Kraken are still at 0 shots in the third. There were 16-0 shots with 3 minutes and 40 seconds left in the game. And Kako's third point of the night is a very creative, very well executed saucer pass over 2 players to Schwartz for him to get his hat trick, the second home hat trick. Last one being Jordan Eberle in 2021 that I was there to pick up the hats for as the Ice Crew, by the way. It was so electric. But anyway, Decord held us in that third period because the shots were 17-1. The one shot we got was an empty net goal scored by Schwartz. Absolutely unreal, colossal drop off in the third period against a top 5 team in the NHL. But because we had Joey Decord, we were able to hold on for the win. Just an insane game. Schwartz had a Schwartz Kako Beniers line, insane. Joey Decord, insane again.
In my notes, I literally have that the Kraken were like white knuckling it through the third because like I couldn't think of any other way to describe it. But like literally, they were just trying to make it through. But Mahura's hit on Fogel leading to that 2-on-1 was amazing. Like that I watched so many times because wow, it was like a total distraction for the Kings who were like, oh, let's fight. And he's like, nope, not going to give in. And the Kraken too were like, not going to give in. Schwartz was able to convert on it. It was just, I feel like that was the momentum shift in the game, actually, that hit and then leading to that 2-on-1. But I can't get over the fact that the Kings they had 17 shots on goal. The Kraken's 1 in the third. Like Joey just absolutely fantastic to stop all those. Also, like I'm obsessed with Kako passing the puck to Schwartz at the end. That pass was incredible, and letting Schwartz get that empty net goal and also getting his hat trick. Like I'm obsessed with it. Like I love Kako. Like what a good teammate to do that too. Like he wasn't selfish about it. He was super just a teammate, a team player. Also the 3 assists he had. Like I'm just really happy to have him as a Kraken. Like he seems like he's super fitting in. Like he's super fitting in well, and I just feel like the Rangers just weren't using him well. And somehow he's found a good fit here, and I love that so much. So the fact that he's young and we have him, I hope we extend him because I'm enjoying his play so much, and how he's elevating Maddie Beniers too. I feel like that has been incredible to see because Maddie's really been struggling. I feel like, and that I feel like the two of them, and then having Schwartz there too, like that line is unstoppable right now.
For real. And you know what that pass from Kako means, though, is that the Washington Capitals, if Ovechkin does not hit the scoring record this year, they're definitely going to be scouting him out to feed Ovechkin with those empty netters,
Right?
because that's exactly what they
It's
need.
so true.
That was my big takeaway, other than, the hat trick and all that being awesome, was Kako easily could have just tried to pot that goal himself, but the selflessness too, like maybe it wasn't as open and obvious as I am foggily remembering it as, but to send it to Schwartz and allow him to get that moment, it was a pretty dicey pass. Like he was pretty deep on it when he finally got the shot off, especially when the empty netter shot he tried to take before went coast to coast and dinged off the post. I was very heartbroken and glad he got that back. But big props to Kako for that one. This game was a lot of fun. There's nothing like scoring with less than 30 seconds to get your blood pumping. Just right out the gate, we kicked in the saloon doors and it was go time. Absolute lights out performances from that line of Schwartz, Beniers, and Kako. So Disco Dan better not touch that combo anytime soon. I don't know that he would. I don't think that he would. I would hope that he wouldn't. But let's just leave them and let them keep vibing. Highlight for me, other than the Hattie, was Mahura lighting Fogel up to set up that second goal. You just love to see him lay everything into it and put that guy right on his ass. We need more of that physicality. Right after Maddie took that penalty, I texted in our group chat and I said, Maddie penalty. This surely won't hurt us. And then you fast forward 17 seconds and we get scored on. The exact same thing happened last week against Buffalo. Maddie took a high stick. We got on the penalty kill and we got scored on. So Maddie, we need you to stop. We need you to keep the stick low. Stay out of the box. We want you getting ice time, not time in the box. That'll be great if you can help us with that. And holy moly, can we talk about that third period? Because usually we are like a third period surging team, not taking it off. Poor Joey. I hope that the team like took him for cheeseburgers or something after the game, or got him like an ice cream cone or something, because he single-handedly kept us in that game because no one else was doing anything for those last 20 minutes.
So I have 3 points. Kind of works out perfectly with this because, with the Jaden Schwartz Hattie. So point number one, Capo Caco, absolute stud, playmaker extraordinaire. Tweeted out, Capo with the assist hat trick. And someone said, he's a playmaker. Yeah, I know he's a playmaker. Look at his stats. So, Capo Caco, playmaker. Ron, extend the man for as long as you can, because he's going to be a perfect little partner with Matty Beniers and insert player to be named once Schwartzy, ends off a couple years from now. Point number two, and I feel like a broken record, Joey Decord. This man is the man. He really is. He is the man. He's the myth. He's the legend, because without Joey Decord, my God, our record would be terrible. And I don't even want to think on how bad this record would be if Joey wasn't in net for us. And number three, Josh Mahura, you get 5 big booms for that massive boom. Boom, 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 boom.
We can't air that. That's gimmick infringement. We're going to get taken down.
That was terrible.
Serious?
No, I'm kidding.
Wait,
That's
what's
just awful.
the gimmick?
It's the Costco guys.
Oh my God. I don't even know what that's brain
Me
rot.
either. I got nada
Yes.
on that.
Oh, wow.
Canadian
Okay.
Costco.
Nope, definitely not. We do not take ownership.
And the final game we're going to be talking about took place on January 20th, which was game 48 against the Buffalo Sabres in a barn burner where they won 6-4. Sabres kicked off scoring in the first at 5:07 into the game with a shot from the point that deflected up high. Joey was looking to and slid over to the right, and Jack Quinn wristed it, and it went off Canner into the back of net. It was deflected, so you can't really do much for Joey. Joey's doing as much as he can in that situation. The fourth line was really buzzing in this one, and John Hayden, Mr. Bodyguard, was able to tie the game just 27 seconds later. So a little bit of a Uno reverse here, where usually the Kraken allow their opponents to score right after they score. They did the opposite. The Kraken, got the tying goal back within 27 seconds. So it was really nice. Hayden's first goal of the season, and he just fought his way to the slot and redirected the puck in. So, you like those types of players that are, really fighting for a spot. I think everyone's kind of been saying the same thing. They wanted to see what Hayden can bring at the NHL level. And he's that grit that, I think the Kraken have been missing. So it's been really nice to see him be able to, play and get his first goal of the season. At 11:06, Chandler Stevenson gave the Kraken a 2-1 lead with a snapshot. This is like a really nice goal by Stevenson. You could show that he could actually shoot the puck. So, that's one thing that we can actually bring up as a highlight. And that's how the period ended. The Kraken were up 2-1. Zach Benson hooked Riker Evans at 5:19 into the second period, and the Kraken went on the PP. This was one of the best power plays we've ever seen from the team in a while. Basically, in the Sabres zone, Matty Beniers made a behind the back pass to Stevenson, allowing himself time and space to get in the slot. Stevenson skillfully got the puck back to Matty, who had just an absolute nasty shot and made it past the goalie for his 10th of the season and put the Kraken up 3-1. So, Matty getting double digits goal. That's a very good positive, especially with the slow start that he had this season. Then there was a questionable call on Eli Tolvanen that put the Sabres on the power play, and they were able to convert on that to cut the Kraken lead to 1. Jason Zucker had a tip and shot at the top of the crease. Tage Thompson then tied the game at 3-3 at 15:38 into the second. He was at the top of the circle, and it was an absolute snipe. Tage Thompson, that's just vintage Tage Thompson. When he's on, he's on. 56 seconds later, the Kraken had their second response goal of the game to give them a 4-3 lead. Honestly, if I were you, I'd buy a lottery ticket because it didn't happen once. It happened twice. Jared McCann battled for the puck, switched directions behind the net to get the puck to Shane Wright. Shane got the puck to Olesiak, who hit a one-timer past Levi. What is going on with Jamie Olesiak? Because Mr. Defensive Defenseman, 6'12", 385,000-pound man, all of a sudden can take clap bombs and score. This is a side of Jamie Olesiak that we really haven't seen since he joined the Kraken in the inaugural season, and I like it. I really like it. So, keep doing what you're doing, Olesiak, and use that big body to do what you got to do. So once again, the Kraken go into the intermission up by 1. And then at 10:25 into the third, Adam Larson, yes, the Adam Larson, gave the Kraken a 5-3 lead with a slap shot from the top of the circle that deflected for the Kraken through Tage Thompson. In Levi had zero chance of stopping this one. Just another goal by a defenseman. So you got to give hats off to the defensemen on this team. Like, they're really coming into play over the last couple of games, last couple of weeks, really, when there has been some downtime with the offense here and there. With an empty net for the Sabres and an extra attacker, Alex Tuck was able to get a bouncing puck into the net to bring the Sabres within 1 at 18:39 in the third. However, 17 seconds later, yes, buy that lottery ticket. And I mean it, buy that lottery ticket, because the Kraken got a third response goal when Canner hit the empty net. Yes, another Canner empty net goal. So Father Canner delivers when he needs to, and the Kraken won 6-4 and got the victory. Kraken are 6 points out of a wild card spot, which, if you told me this last week, I would have thought you were absolutely crazy, because there's a chance. And I know Matt's going to roll his eyes as soon as I say that, but it's the truth. The Kraken have a chance, and here I am sitting hopefully that, maybe there is a chance. Maybe the Kraken can make the playoffs. Wild cards are a possibility. I said last week they should sell the entire team, but, let's just be wild. Let's just be crazy. Let's go for it. Let's acquire a couple players. Forget about those draft picks. Let's re-sign all the players and let's just keep going. I'm kidding. Anything could happen, but hey, it was a fun week and a great game.
Yeah, this game was actually really, really fun to watch. I keep thinking about on the power play, there was just so much movement on the power play, so many shots on the power play. It was just relentless. I really appreciate what Coach Campbell's doing there. But the Matty Beniers making that behind the back pass, like I can't get over it because really he was making space for himself to like get to the, get to a point where he could get the puck into the net, and like that behind the back pass and then Stevie passing it back to Maddie who had moved up. I mean, it just was a really incredible sequence. Like I keep thinking about it because it was really amazing. Loved that. And then also I was just looking at some stats after the game that they were sharing on the Kraken Hockey Network that there were 12 different players with a point today, which is amazing. And that is how we win games. That is how this team wins games and moves forward, is having all the players contribute. So the fact that there were 12 really positive to me. Also, it was a multi-point game for Stevenson, McCann, Evans, Larson, and Alexiak, which is incredible as well. The 3 response goals that's also crazy. Just a really, really fun game. It had a little bit of everything. John Hayden getting a goal. I actually really love Hayes. I'm so happy for him, but also he made a difference in so many other ways too. He is muscle. He is a defender in that way. He will go to bat for people. And today, they did notice that and they were kind of getting chippy with him. And I don't know. I love that about him. So overall, super fun game. Glad we came out with a win on that one. Like I said, we have some momentum right now. It's the big MO. We're just riding it, and I love to see it.
So this was a super wild one. I'm really glad I got to watch along with this one because it was a fun ride. My one word to describe this game is who? So you have a John Hayden goal. Who? Jamie Alexiak goal. Who? Where does this guy come from? An Adam Larson goal. Who? Kraken getting 3 response goals in less than 60 seconds. Who is this team? What in the world is going on today? Oh, I broke Derek. What in the world is going on today? You absolutely love to see it. Standout moments for me as well are Riker Evans having a 2 assist game. Anything to help this guy boost his stock ahead of next season when his contract's coming up, just help building up that resume is awesome. And as mentioned previously, as the foremost Chandler Stevenson supporter podcast, seeing him get on the score sheet is awesome as well with that goal and assist, and especially having a goal in back-to-back games. That is awesome. He is not a bum. I'm a little bummed out that we didn't get anything from the Maddie Schwartz and Kako line in terms of scoring. Maddie did have the goal, but it's on the power play, so not technically that line. But they did have many good looks in the game as well. So even though they didn't get on the score sheet, they were producing those chances.
Yeah, sorry, I had to leave. I had to take a laugh break. I didn't have Matt turning into an owl on my bingo card today. But it also reminded me of the what? Seattle? Everything's awesome. It also reminded me of that, so just hilarious. Yeah, Alex, I definitely think we could push for the playoffs here. I think the number one thing that you do if you are really locking in, gearing down, putting 10 toes down, going for the playoffs, you starting Philip Grubauer. Okay, that's the ticket to success. He's the clear 1A. Really, from this game, I just want to highlight a couple things because you guys did such a good job. But yeah, congrats. Who? Who are you guys? Oh, okay, sorry. The Stevenson goal was nasty. It was a one-timed rebound that like, oh, it just had like a sliver of space. It's Tolvanen-esque, I would say. The power play goal that Matty Benier scored, beautiful. Great shot by Matty. And then I also just want to say, I think Decord had a more like average day. Like it's a bad day for him, but it's like an average or even slightly above average day for a normal goalie. But this is definitely a game where I think you can see that like Decord is human and also it is like susceptible to fatigue and can't just make like 50 saves a game and not have wear and tear. So all joking aside, Philip Grubauer is not serviceable. So we definitely need, if we're going to stay with the cord and try to be competitive next year, we 1,000,000% need a goalie that can not necessarily split time, but take a load off of Decord where we're not like super scared that we're going to lose just because that one goalie. Today we were playing the Sabres, who are one of the 3 teams that have a lower projection in points than the Kraken. And the expected goals were 3.88 Sabres to 3.58 Kraken. So while this game was like super fun to watch, I don't think it means that we're like them or anything.
This
It's
game
similar
means
to
everything to me, Derek.
who?
Me.
Who?
Everything.
Okay, I'm done.
And with that, we're going to go down to the desert for some desert dialogues. And well, the one question we're going to be talking about is who are we going to talk about? Well, we're going to be talking about the Coachella Valley Firebirds. Yeah, the AHL affiliate and how they played over the last week. So, first game of the week was Thursday, January 16th versus the Henderson Silver Knights in a 6-3 win. At 138 into the game, Logan Morrison was net front to collect a rebound off of Leighton Road to shot to give the Firebirds an early lead. Daniel Sprong was the secondary assist on Morrison's seventh goal of the season. So, Daniel Sprong proving that he wants to make a point down in the desert. So the Silver Knights were able to tie it up at 1-1 at 10-10 into the first. That would end scoring for the first period, and the teams went into the first intermission tied. But the Firebirds had a record-tying second period, scoring five goals. Yanni Neiman scored the first of these 5 goals at just 22 seconds into the period. Ben Myers and Cale Fleury notched assists on Neiman's 14th goal of the season. Daniel Sprong, noted NHL veteran, scored at 5:21 with assists from Ryan Jones and Brandon Biro. Just a minute and a half later, Edward Chalet gave the Firebirds a 4-1 lead. Max Lajoie and Jacob Melanson had the assists on Chalet's 5th goal of the season. And speaking of Jacob Melanson, he made the score 5-1 with his second period goal. So Ty Nelson and Max Lajoie had the assists. The 5th goal of the second period was Neiman's second of the day and his 15th goal of the season. Ryan Witterton had the only assist on the goal that made it 6-2. Even though the Silver Knights were able to get 2 goals in the third, the Firebirds still pulled out of that 6-3 win. This win put the Firebirds in second place in the Pacific Division with 45 points. They were also 3 for 3 on the PK, and unfortunately, this broke their power play streak at 8 games because they were unable to convert on any of their PPs during the game. The Firebirds have won 6 of their last 7 and have points in 8 of their last 9.
Next game was Saturday, January 18th at the Colorado Eagles. This was a 6-4 loss. Unfortunately, this was Captain Max McCormick's 3rd consecutive game that he's had to miss due to an undisclosed injury. I just wanted to mention that because he was previously out for 3 weeks and then he played 5 games coming back, but right now his current status is unknown. So the games for the AHL are now on Flow Hockey, and it was down for most of this game, so I wasn't able to watch as easily, but I do have a good recap for you. The Eagles opened scoring at 4:33 into the game, giving them a 1-0 lead, but 12 seconds later, we love a response goal. Luke Henman was able to tie it up with an assist from David Goyette, who we haven't heard from in a while, so it was really good, happy to see him on the score sheet there. At 11:04, Ty Nelson had his 2nd goal of the season and gave the Firebirds a 2-1 lead. Ryan Winterton and Ben Myers were the assist on that one. And then 15 seconds later, Logan Morrison gave the Firebirds a 2-goal lead with his 8th goal of the season. Daniel Sprong and Leighton Road had the assists. Firebirds pulled a bit of a Kraken on this one because they blew this 2-goal lead before the first was even over, as the Eagles were able to get a goal at 15:47 with a power play goal and then another within 1 second left in the period. That's terrible. It's a heartbreaker. Such a Kraken thing to do, too. There were no goals in the second period, so the teams went into the third, tied 3-3. The Eagles took their first lead at 4:47 into the third, and then Ryan Winterton was able to tie it up at 17:40 with an assist from Jagger Furkis, but unfortunately the Eagles took advantage of the empty net and sealed the 6-4 win. That broke the Firebirds' 3-game winning streak and also dropped them to 3rd in the Pacific Division. It was another less than ideal night for the power plays. They were 0-4 on that, but they were 2 for 3 on the PK. This was also the first game that Daniel Sprong did not have a goal since he arrived in Coachella, but he did have that assist. But I just want to note that because he's been scoring like crazy and he will continue to, but just kind of an interesting note to make.
And the final game of the week was Sunday, January 19th against the Colorado Eagles in a 4-2 win. Nicholas Coco was in net for this game, and he looked super sharp, making some incredible saves. Noted the fact that he's only 20 years old, so highlight on that. This kid's going to be exceptional when he cracks the NHL, hopefully. The first period ended in a 0-0 tie, but the Firebirds came out strong in the second period. At 14:21 in the second, Cale Fleury gave the Firebirds a 1-0 lead with an absolute rocket of a shot. This was his 6th goal of the season, and Daniel Sprung and Logan Morrison had the assists. With 4:54 left in the second, the Eagles were able to tie the game at 1 apiece. and then they were able to take a 2-1 lead on a power play with just 1:14 left in the second after Tucker Robertson went to the box for holding. The Firebirds went into the second intermission down by 1. On the power play, Logan Morrison was able to tie it up at 14:15 to the third. Brandon Biro had the only assist on Lomo's ninth goal of the season. 39 seconds later, Leighton Road gave the Firebirds a 3-2 lead. Jacob Melanson and Nick Brouillard had the assists. This was Road's 11th goal of the season. Player to highlight, I believe I've highlighted him in previous episodes, but Road has been exceptional. He could easily, in my opinion, depending on how the Kraken kind of play over the next couple months leading into the trade deadline, he could be a player that gets brought up. So definitely keep an eye on Road if you want to keep following Firebirds hockey. He's one to watch. At 18:13, Ty Nelson gave the Firebirds a 2-goal lead during another power play. Ben Myers and Nick Brouillard had the assists. That was Brouillard's 15th assist of the season. Like I said before, Brouillard, he's been a fantastic for the Firebirds this year. AHL journeyman, but he's great for leadership and teaching a lot of these young players, how to play. The Firebirds were able to keep battling in this one and get the win with a final score of 4-2. This marked goals in back-to-back games for Ty Nelson.
If you want to watch the Firebirds this week, they play on Wednesday, January 22nd at the San Jose Barracuda, Saturday, January 25th at the Ontario Reign, and then Sunday, January 26th at the Bakerfield Condors. Top Firebirds this week, we have Ben Myers, who has 26 points in 31 games played. Yanni Neiman has 24 points in 38 games played. And Ryan Winterton, Leighton Road, and Logan Morrison each have 22 points in 29, 38, and 29 games played, respectively.
And some AHL standings. Coachella is in second in the Pacific Division with 47 points in 39 games played. They're right behind the Calgary Wranglers, who had 55 points in 40 games. And the Colorado Eagles are right on their heels with 46 points in 36 games played. The division is absolutely wild. So anything could really happen with the AHL division here because, Coachella could easily catch the Wranglers. The Eagles could catch the, Firebirds and vice versa. So anything could really happen.
And that'll take us to the sound table. Our weekly recap of all things outside of the Seattle Kraken organization in the hockey world. Starting off with sound table topic number 1. File this under strange stats you probably won't see again anytime soon. In Wednesday's game between the Buffalo Sabres and the Carolina Hurricanes, Buffalo took home the 4-2 win. However, it was how this win came about that was strange. The Sabres scored the last goal of the game, an empty netter, despite not recording a single shot in the third period. How, you may ask? Center Ryan McLeod was cruising in towards the empty net when he had his stick hacked and broken before he was able to shoot. Normally, this would be a penalty shot, but since the goalie was pulled, it was awarded as an automatic goal. The icing on the cake, this gave McLeod his first career hat trick, and what a strange way for it to happen. I didn't know that was a rule. That's my new thing I learned about hockey last week.
It's crazy how close that was to the third period we had against the Kings. It's just insane.
Yep.
Next up, goalie goal alert. On Friday night, Alex Nedeljkovic became the first goaltender in NHL history to record a goal and an assist in the same game during Pittsburgh's game against the Buffalo Sabres. Man, Buffalo is just all over the place in this week. Super weird stat on one side, super weird stat on the other side. Not only this, but he also became the first goaltender to score a goal in all 3 pro leagues in North America, the ECHL, AHL, and NHL. And previous to this, he was the only goalie in AHL history to score twice. Too bad he couldn't spark up a little fight at the end of the game to earn that prestigious Gordie Howe hat trick. And is this Alex fella just like the GOAT of goalies? Because that's quite the stat line to have.
Yeah, but Joey's next.
Oh, yeah. Joey's getting a double Gordie Howe hat trick before the season's done in the same game. All right, next up, on Thursday, the NHL and Fanatics revealed their Stadium Series uniforms for the Detroit Red Wings and Columbus Blue Jackets. The Blue Jackets uniforms pay tribute to the rich history of Ohio and Columbus. The design draws inspiration from the uniforms worn by the Union Army, with the jersey featuring several military-like details, most notably the cannon on the front chest. The Red Wings uniform celebrates the world-renowned automotive industry and hockey culture of Detroit. The design incorporates several auto-inspired elements, including an automotive-inspired word mark on the chest and laser-detailed word and names and numbers to reflect the leather upholstery look of a car's interior. In your opinion, are these W's or L's?
I like them.
Massive W's.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
I think the
Can't do
coolest
that with
part
AI.
is I think the coolest part is the Detroit helmets that have the wheel and wing on the
Hmm.
side, has a real Thor look to it. I
Mhm.
think there should be more team branded helmets versus Amazon or Skip the Dishes or Milk or whatever. Give us the red eye on the side of it or an anchor or something like that because
Just a
who
bunch of
cares about
tentacles.
Amazon? Bunch of tentacles, yeah. And they like dangle down too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
So
won't get in the way.
no, it won't. Just imagine like going in for a shootout and you're like and they're just dangling around, just instant mind
Distraction
games.
tactic.
Exactly. All right, it's milestone time. Couple milestones happened in the league this week. In a game on Wednesday night against the Minnesota Wild, Connor McDavid recorded 2 goals and an assist, which moved him into second place all time in points for the Edmonton Oilers at 1,044 points over his 10 seasons with the team. He now trails only Wayne Gretzky, who recorded 1,669 points on the team, which he did in 9 seasons. So I don't think he's going to catch him. I don't think that math checks out. Toronto Maple Leafs Mitch Marner became the fastest Maple Leaf in history to reach 700 points on Wednesday, doing so in 622 games. Connor Bedard, in his 112th career NHL game, recorded his 100th point. He became the 24th teenager to accomplish this feat and is the youngest player to do so since Sidney Crosby in 2006. And lastly, our returning segment every week to close out the sound table, we have OV Record Watch. It was a slow week on the OV Record Watch this week. Alexander Ovechkin now sits at 874 goals, only 20 away from Wayne Gretzky's record at 894. This is a slower week for him, and he now has only 30 games to accomplish this feat faster than the Great One. This week, Ovi also set the record for having scored on the most goalies in NHL history at 179. And I think actually on the Capitals, I can't remember if it's on their Twitter or on their YouTube page, they have a compilation of him scoring on all 179 goalies, which is a
Yep.
pretty neat compilation.
Did anyone else look through the list to see
Oh
where
yeah,
Philip Grubauer was?
100%.
Did you see how many
I
Ovechkin
can't.
scored against
I
him?
did. I can't remember though. I
It's
also saw like Chris Drieger and stuff, but I think Philip was 3.
it's three, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Like top three.
No, he had scored on him 3
Oh,
times.
but he played with him with on Washington. So like he played
Yeah,
a bunch of seasons with Washington, so it makes sense.
yeah.
All right. And with that, Heather, do you want to let us know what our week ahead looks like?
I would love to. A little bit of a light week this week. The Kraken play Thursday, January 23rd versus the Washington Capitals. And this is a stream game. We are 8-1-2, like I said at the top, on stream games. So we hope that you'll come by and hang out with us. It's also Jamie Alexiak bobblehead night, and that bobblehead is really pretty cute. The Kraken are 9-3 on bobblehead night, but we hope to see you hanging out and chat and keeping us company. The Kraken also play January 25th versus the Los Angeles Kings.
All right. And with that, Derek, do you want to let people know where they can find us this week?
Absolutely, Matt. And I just wanted to say, in our stream game, make sure to come because we could see Ovechkin break the goal record if he gets 21 goals. So that'll be beautiful. Also, Nicole Shabazz or Shabs does an amazing job with the bobbleheads. The Alexiak bobblehead looks amazing. I think it's the best one yet, in my opinion. It just needs to be like, I think like 10 inches taller with the same width just to account for his height. But anyway, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube, follow wherever you're listening to this. Give us a review, 5 stars. Anywhere you're listening, just do it. Do it right now. Check out the store, bit.ly/BTW store. And please drop a follow ski and a 5-star review ski on the podcast app of your choice ski. And I'd like to invite anybody who's willing to stand for this. It's time for the pledge. I pledge a B to the T of the WSEA. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
We going beneath the waves. Going,